somewhere in London. Don't know where it is. Just down the street from our hotel. Today is the 30th of October, '88. It's colder than the devil. We just got in 8 o'clock. And our room's not ready, so we're just walking to kill time till 12 o'clock. So just be shots around town. Don't know where we are. This is the houses. You can have it. I'll still take Lancaster. There's May. Downtown London someplace. So you can have this living like this, not me. The river, this is the first bridge going up. Up on the hill in the back. Crown jewels in here. Jewel Tower of London. Bridge there is the last bridge before you go into the ocean. It comes up the Thames River. Again, the Tower of London. Colder than hell out here, I'll tell you that. Over here you can see where they're restoring some of the buildings along the waterfront here. One's got all scaffolding in it. And a lot of this is converting to apartments. You can see for sale signs as you go. That's the entrance to the bridge there where that bus is going across. We're on a tour. May's inside because she's freezing. We're both trying to stay awake because of flying all night, and then our hotel room wasn't ready till 12 o'clock. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now. There goes another tour boat down. Got some World War II. Tourist attraction now.
Of our London. But this is where he decided to marry, the first of the royal family to marry here rather than Westminster Abbey. He had, after all, 2,000 guests to the wedding. On the right is our Queen Anne. We nicknamed her Brandy Nan. She had 18 children, and they all died before the age of 20. And that is why we asked King from Hanover, the German...
Time to renew our commitment to what we stand for what we believe in, and last but not least, who we are, United States Marines. At this time, I would like to introduce the detachment's guest of honor, the American Ambassador, Ambassador John MacArthur. Ambassador MacArthur was born in New York on the 27th of December, 1939. In 1961, he attended Manhattan College, where he received a Bachelor of Arts degree. In 1973, he attended Harvard University, where he received a Master of Public Administration's degree. Since joining the Department of State in 1962, Ambassador McCarthy has served as 3rd Secretary in Bangui, 2nd Secretary in Brussels, Consulate in Chimia, as Consular in the U.S. Mission to the European Community in Brussels, and as Minister Counselor in Islamabad. In addition, Ambassador McCarthy has served as Officer in Charge, Regional Economic Affairs for OECD and the European Community, and as Senior Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs. Ambassador McCarthy is married to the former Maria Pavlovich, and they have 3 children. Please welcome Ambassador McCarthy. At this time, I would like to introduce the detachment's guest speaker, Defense Attaché Major Ron Green. Major Green joined the Marine Corps in 1973. He has served in every Marine division deployed with Marine Expeditionary Forces in the Far East, South Pacific, and Northern NATO. Major Green's first assignment was as an infantry platoon commander with 1st Battalion, 5th Marines in Camp Pendleton, California. The Major later served as a 106 recoilless rifle platoon commander, company executive officer, and infantry company commander before entering the intelligence field in 1980. Major Green has since served as a battalion, regimental, and division combat intelligence officer in the 2nd and 3rd Divisions. He has also seen service as a signals intelligence officer with the 2nd Marine Division, as well as being the combat intelligence officer aboard the helicopter landing ship USS Tarawa. Major Green's last assignment before coming to Lebanon was senior intelligence officer on the Flag Allowance staff for Commander-in-Chief, Pacific Fleet. Major Green is married to the former Teresa Sotero and has 2 daughters. Please welcome Major Ron Green. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the Marine Security Guard Detachment, Beirut. Sergeant Michael Anderson. Sergeant Anderson is the Assistant Detachment Commander. He came in the Marine Corps in July of 1979. His first post was the U.S. Mission in Geneva. And from here, he's going on to Cairo very shortly. His job in the Marine Corps is 81mm mortar section leader, and he is from Ridgewood, New Jersey. Sergeant David Prather. Sergeant Prather entered the Marine Corps January 1984. His first post was Frankfurt, Germany, second being Beirut. His job in the Marine Corps is an engineer, and he is from Mayfield, Kentucky. Corporal Shannon Bryant. Corporal Bryant entered the Marine Corps May of 1986. His first post is Beirut. His job in the Marine Corps is military police. He is from Bethesda, Maryland. Corporal Joseph Lloyd. Corporal Lloyd entered the Marine Corps June of 1986. This is his first post, Beirut. His job in the Marine Corps is infantryman, and he is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lance Corporal Leslie McNiven. Lance Corporal McNiven entered the Marine Corps January 1986. His first post is Beirut. He has orders going to Ottawa. His job in the Marine Corps is a combat engineer, and he is from Boston, Massachusetts. Lance Corporal Stephen Heine. Lance Corporal Heine entered the Marine Corps September 1986. His first post is Beirut. His job in the military is infantryman, and he is from Wickenburg, Arizona. Myself, Gunnery Sergeant Edward Brown. I entered the Marine Corps in August of 1973. I am the detachment commander of the Marine Detachment here in Beirut. I am from Lexington, Kentucky. In addition to the active duty Marines here, we have 3 former Marines. At this time, I will introduce those. Former Marine Captain John Conway. Entered the military in August 1971. Attended the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. Went on to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina's 2nd Service Support Battalion. Deployed to the Mediterranean. In December of '74, transferred to the inactive reserve. In 1982, he was promoted to his present rank, captain. Former Marine Lieutenant Mike Walker. Entered the Marine Corps January of 1976. Attended the basic school in Quantico, Virginia. Went on to Pensacola, Florida for Naval Flight School. From there, he went to Okinawa as an infantryman. He was honorably discharged in December of 1979. Former Marine Sergeant Kevin White. Sergeant White entered the Marine Corps September of '79. After completion of boot camp, Sergeant White was assigned to the Naval Technical Training Center in Pensacola, Florida. From then, he went to 1st Radio Battalion, Marine Corps Air Station, Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. He also served in Korea, Philippines, and Okinawa. He was honorably discharged in September of 1983. There are 3 of my Marines that were unable to attend tonight. We have one that is standing duty, which is Sergeant Young. Sergeant Young came to the Marine Corps July 1982. His first post is Beirut. His job is an admin personnel chief, and he is from Macon, Georgia. Sergeant Heath. Sergeant Heath's first post was Bonn, Germany. His second post was Beirut. His job in the Marine Corps is infantry squad leader. He is from Wharton, Texas. Sergeant Entwistle. He came in the Marine Corps February 1982. 2 tours on Marine Security Guard duty. Recent tours include U.S. Mission Geneva. The second is Beirut. His job is motor transport driver. He is from Smyrna, Georgia. this time we will have the messages read from the detachment members. Message from the 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps. On November 1st, 1921, John A. Lejeune, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, directed that a reminder of the honorable service of the Corps be published by every command to all Marines throughout the globe on the birthday of the Corps. Since that day, Marines have continued to distinguish themselves on many battlefields and foreign shores in war and in peace. On this birthday of the Corps, therefore in compliance with the will of the 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, Article 38 of the United States Marine Corps Manual, edition 1921, is republished as follows. On November 10th, 1775, the Corps of Marines were created by a resolution of the Congress of the United States. Since that date, many thousands of men have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we who are Marines should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glories of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organization in the world's history. During 90 of the 146 years of its existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against the nation's foes. From the Battle of Trenton to the Argonne, Marines have won foremost honors in war, and in the long era of tranquility at home, generation after generation of Marines have grown brave in war, in both hemispheres, and in every corner of the 7 seas, so that our country and its citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest of distinction, winning new honors on each occasion until the term Marine has come to signify all that is highest in the military efficiency and soldierly virtue. The high name of distinction and soldierly repute we who are Marines today have received from those who preceded us in the Corps. With it, we also received from them the internal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of Marines in every age. So long as the spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have in the past, and the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors of the long line of illustrious men who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of the Corps.
Coming of the Marine Corps. It reads, during the past year, you have continued to march throughout the globe asking for so little and doing so much. You are truly an exceptional Corps of Marines. Our Marines and weapons are first rate, as is our supporting establishment. We are, by any worldwide standard of measure, a thoroughly modern fighting force. This reality gives us the unique opportunity to raise even higher the level of professionalism throughout our Corps. In my view, it is within our grasp to reach unparalleled heights of peacetime preparedness. We are not going to let this opportunity pass as we strive to total excellence in all we do. To this end, I intend to continue to emphasize our Corps' traditional values and to its change where necessary to reflect those values. The Marine Corps has no ambition beyond the performance of its duty to its country. Its sole honors derives from the recognition which cannot deny to a Corps of Marines who have sought for themselves little more than a life of hardship and the hazardous assignments in battle. These inspiring thoughts of General Clinton.
When the gunny read out my biography, I had a feeling that there was a little bit of a dirty trick underway. And I survived my birth date, all right, that's not really very secret. But I remember my father telling me that you should always beware of somebody who can't hold a job for more than a couple of years. And when you look back over my biography, it looks as though, in fact, I couldn't hold a job, any one job, for more than just a couple of years. But during the course of those jobs, not my first, in fact, my first assignment was to a very small post in the middle of Africa, which at least in those days did not have a Marine detachment. It may very well have one now because over the years we tended to extend the Marine security guard detachments throughout foreign service posts all around the world. But at least in my first days there was a Marine security guard detachment. And then one other assignment a little later down in my career also, the Marine security guards. But with the exception of those 2 posts, and starting with my second post, there always were Marines present there. There was always somebody in the morning when you arrived with a nice snappy salute or a friendly smile, to let you know, in fact, that the place had been well guarded during the night when you were away. These were fairly easy assignments from the point of view of any risk of any kind, so that while I believed and knew that in addition to the friendly smile and the warm, wholesome personality, there was also a well-trained individual who in fact could defend the post if need might be. I didn't really have the opportunity to experience that firsthand in most of my assignments. That all changed, of course, a couple of years ago, several years ago. I first went to Pakistan, where in addition to the friendly smile and the nice wholesome friendship that we had grown accustomed to from the Marines we've known over the years, we also were dealing with very well-trained, highly professional people who in fact had defended the embassy in extremis in 1979, who had in fact suffered the loss of life, at least in the case of certain individuals, and who were week in, week out during the course of my 3 years there, losing opportunities to go on leave because we would have special drills, losing opportunities to have a day off because in fact we were expecting either a demonstration or a particular problem. So certainly my last 3 years in Pakistan let me see not only the nice side of the Marines, but also the fact that they could very well deliver on what they were billed as. They could very easily, very efficiently, and time after time demonstrate that they would defend the embassy if need might be. And of course, I went from Pakistan to Lebanon, still not being able to hold a job for a short period of time, only to discover one more time that I was in the middle of an environment where the friendship is here, the smiles are here, these young men are as nice as any of the others I've known in the last 25 years. But again, the risks are here, and these young men are leading rather guarded, rather restricted lives, very conscious of their obligations, very conscious of the need to always be on guard, and in fact, at least for me, inspiring extreme confidence. I think the people who are standing here tonight, if need be, at some stage in the future, will take very good care of all this, so that it's a kind of, maybe it's too solemn a message for a birthday, because this is a birthday. The birthday is supposed to be a happy occasion. But the fact is that I and my colleagues from the State Department and from the other departments present at Embassy Beirut, and all of the people working abroad, all of our embassies, and all of our consulates, owe you all a great debt of gratitude, not just for today, not just for Beirut, but for what you've done for all of us over the years. And as I listened as Secretary Schultz's message was read out, and I think it was a nice message, but I'm sorry that the Secretary isn't here, because in fact, I had the privilege of traveling with him on several occasions, but once or twice to military installations. And he is a former Marine. He's a Marine, he doesn't consider himself a former Marine. And I think that had he been here to read out the message, beyond the words, you would have got a good deal of emotion as well. He is very proud of the association with the Marine Corps. The State Department is very proud of the association with the Marine Corps. And certainly today we wish you the very happiest of parties, 213th.
Have asked me to say a few words on this occasion of our 213th birthday. They've also asked me to keep it brief. I'll try to do that, but there are a few things I want to say that come from the heart. Marines look back on 213 years with pride on tradition and faithful service to God, Corps, and country. The accomplishments of our predecessors go without precedent among the military ranks. We've served with valor. Valor is renowned throughout the world. Marines have died in every clime and place. But our history is not only one on the battlefield. We have extended our hand in missions of peace throughout the world, on humanitarian missions with the United Nations, on relief missions, again and again every clime and place. We're quick to extend a hand in peace, and just as quick to strike any foe that would threaten our country or the ideals of democracy and freedom. I look back on pride with 213 years that my predecessors have served and their accomplishments. And when I get weak myself, I look into that past, and that gives me the strength to move forward. The Marines you see before you are part of a new history of Marines in Lebanon. It began in 1958. The 10,000 Marines came at the request of the President, Emil Shamoun, to help with the Civil War at that time. They left. They returned again in August of '82 as part of the multinational force, 800 Marines. Covered and oversee the evacuation of Palestinians, and they left again on 10 September. They turned around and came back on the 29th of September, again to join the multinational force. I guess there was some 2,000 plus Italians and French here at that time. The very next day, Marines suffered their first casualties, combat casualties in your country. One Marine died and 4 were wounded as they were trying to clear mines from around Beirut International Airport. And before the majority of Marines left this country, in '84, 257 Marines had died and 187 were wounded. That's a lot we left in this country. A sacrifice we willingly made, though, however. And Marines still serve with you since then. As members of the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon in the south, we have 15 to 16 American officers down there. As members of UNCEL up until recently. As members you see before you, the Marine Security Guard Detachment of the Embassy, and also as members of the Defense Attaché Office. So the tradition continues. We've discharged our duty faithfully in this country, with the true intent of helping Lebanon, bring peace to Lebanon, and as directed by our civilian leadership. Our role has not been without sacrifice, and we have stood along you as you have suffered. Our hostages remain. Many have died. And the men you see before you here tonight, these young Marines, they have left their families and their loved ones, and they come here alone to stand beside you in your time of trouble. Our motto has been and will always be, Semper Fidelis, always faithful to God, corps, and country. And in that respect, Marines remain steadfast as a symbol of the U.S. commitment to peace in Lebanon. I look back on that 213 years with pride, as you should look back on the accomplishments that you have made in history. And drawing from that example, and with that strength, we should both step forward into the future in the interest of peace. Thank you.
This time we will do the cake cutting portion of the ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first piece of cake is received by former Marine Captain John Conway. Captain Conway was born on 15th May 1948 in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Captain Conway is 40 years old. The second piece of cake was received by Lance Corporal Stephen Heine. Lance Corporal Heine was born on 30 July 1968 in Elmhurst, Illinois. Lance Corporal Heine is 20 years old. The third piece of cake goes to the missing Marine in memory of the Marines killed in the VLT headquarters in West Burial and the Marines who have fallen in battles throughout the Marine Corps history. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Marine Corps tradition that the piece of cake from the oldest Marine is passed down to the youngest Marine, symbolizing passing down of knowledge and leadership.
Lance Corporal McNiven, front and center. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. Know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the fidelity and abilities of Leslie D. McNiven, I do appoint this Marine a corporal in the United States Marine Corps, to rank as such from the first day of November, 1988. This appointee will therefore carefully and diligently discharge the duties of the grade to which appointed by doing and performing all manners thereunto pertaining. And I do strictly charge and require all personnel of lesser grade to render obedience to appropriate orders. And this appointee is to observe and follow such orders and directions as may be given from time to time by superiors acting according to the rules, articles governing the discipline of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Given under my hand at Headquarters Marine Security Guard Battalion, State Department, Quantico, Virginia, this first day of November in the year of our Lord, 1988. Signed, M.F. Schisler, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, Commander. In closing, I would like to recognize the following: the Lebanese nationals that work at the embassy and the support that they provide the Marines on a day-to-day basis. The Marines cook who prepared the food for this occasion, and the Marine drivers who support us on a day-to-day basis throughout the year. Last but not least, Paul Hooper, for the support that he gives us here at the Marine House in our everyday living. I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending and helping us celebrate our 213th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. Mr. Ambassador, Colonel Young, Major Green, thank you for coming. Detachment dismissed.